Hi there, I'm Clueless Mike and you're watching Modelling for Advantage. So today we're going to have a very quick look at the new Astra Militarum or Imperial Guard Special Edition Codex from the Cadia Stands box set. And I'm going to give you my top 5 thoughts on what I found inside. Okay, let's get the cellophane off this bad boy. Oh, and you'll see on the back, I wondered when I was unboxing the other thing, where the instructions were for all of the new models. So they are there. I'm sure they're lovely instructions as normal. Okay, so we're going to have a very quick flick through this. If you want to have a page-by-page look, I'm sure there are some other YouTube videos out there to look at. On the front here, we have the new Lord Solar, and he is my first of my top 5 things to know about the new Codex. He is amazing. Rules-wise, he is a massive buff piece. He lets you buff all of your troops nearby and give super special buffs to some of them. He can buff tanks. He can order 3 times. He is just super solid. The new model is a bit Marmite, I suppose. It's a really golden armoured guy on top of a big white horse, which looks slightly metallic. There is a little picture of him there. A lot of people are complaining it looks like an Age of Sigmar model. He's over here as well. And to be frank, it does. But it is also reasonably in keeping with the history of Lord Solar. For those of you who don't know, back in a few centuries ago, 40k time, I'm not sure exactly which one, I think it might have been M31, it might have been later than that as well, there was a Lord Solar Macarius who led a massive great crusade to reclaim some of the galaxy and was super successful, and he was kind of basically Alexander the Great in space. But he is long dead, so they wanted to bring in a new Lord Solar to give the Imperial Guard a centerpiece character. They're not going to release a single guy on foot as a centerpiece character, so what do? They stuck him on a horse. And I don't mind it myself. I'm not going to paint it quite as clean, and I'm probably not going to make the horse white. I'm going to paint it red in some way, let's face it. Red and black most likely, but I don't mind the model. I think it's quite nice. And it is a centerpiece character, so it needs to be able to stand out. I'm going to quickly flick forward so we can have a quick look at his data sheet. Here we go. There he is, if you want to have a look at it. So he's got 8 wounds, 6 strength, he's got 6 attacks, he's got 10 leadership, he's got a really good pistol, he's got a pretty good sword. As I said, the main thing he does, he gets to use 3 orders a turn, but kind of like his special thing that nothing else in the Codex can really do is he can order super heavy units, he can order other officer units, he can order Ogryns, Balgryns, he can order all kinds of stuff. And also, he is 9 power, which translates to about 170 points, I think he is. And at that, he is an utter steal with how tough he is. He reduces all damage by half. That's a pretty good ability. He's got a 4+ invulnerable save. I think more or less every army that's at all competitive is going to take one of these, which is one of the things I dislike. I like special characters. They really have their place in the game for me. They help with a bit of the narrative. A lot of people don't want to make up their own narrative. They like to join the narrative that's going on. But when you make special characters so good, like Abaddon in Chaos Space Marines currently, he is good in every army you make up. Make a tank army, I'm going to stick a Lord Solar in. Infantry army, Lord Solar's going in. Oh, I'm going to make a weird Rough Rider army. Oh, Lord Solar's going in it. He is the best character in the book by a long way. So I wish he wasn't quite as good. Okay, that is Lord Solar. And the next thing, which I think we're only a couple of pages past, we're going to go back to, is this book is really big on its orders, which I really like. They're one of the key things about Imperial Guard. They've nicely cleaned them up in the new book in that they all happen in the command phase, which is really good because if orders didn't happen in the command phase, then what else should happen in the command phase? They've broken up the orders now, though. You get regimental orders, which are orders issued by your senior officers. So things like your Castellans, which is the new name for the most senior officer. And then you've got your company commanders. They will be issuing regimental orders. Then you get Perfectus orders. These are issued by commissars. There's only one type of commissar now, and they get the Perfectus orders, along with obviously the Lord Solar. And also you can upgrade a tank to have a commissar driving it, basically, and then they will get Perfectus orders as well. And then lastly, you get mechanized orders, which tank commanders, which are in lemon russes, or you can also stick in the new Rogel Dawn tank with a particular upgrade, and they issue mechanized orders. Now, all the orders do a certain thing now. If you're playing mono Imperial Guard, so you have no other Imperial in your army, then when you issue an order to a unit, it also affects all other nearby units as well. So one person, say the Lord Solar, who can issue orders to 3 different people, can issue orders, and then each of those orders he issues bubbles out to the nearby units. So you can cover a massive amount of your army just with 1 or 2 officers. The regimental orders, they're all about making a unit better at fighting generally. They've got things that make them fire more often. They've got things that make them more accurate when shooting, more deadly in close combat. They can pin the enemy. They can make themselves run faster. So it's quite unit buffs in the regimental orders. The Perfectus orders are a little different, and I quite like that they're nicely themed differently. These have things like you can do an action while falling back, which is a really powerful ability. They have ones that improve your leadership, so you're less likely to fall away. I think they can give you a save versus mortal wounds on one of them. I might be remembering that correctly. There's one here which is probably the most powerful, and the one you'll see quite often is Remain Vigilant. You use this on a unit, remember that can bubble to other units nearby, so you can cover a massive amount of the table with this, and enemies cannot deep strike within 12 inches of any of those ordered units. I mean, that really screws over the new Demon Army quite severely. And then tank orders are pretty similar to the regimental orders in that they kind of give you reroll ones to hit, they let you move faster, you've got a pinning one there. So that's the orders, but they're just a bit more streamlined, they're a bit simpler to use now. Or the models that use them are quite defined in how they can use them. So I much prefer how they've done the orders now. Okay, let's see, we're going to go on to one of the other new units that are in here. I'm going to flick through. You can see we're going past various things here. We're looking for these guys, the Attilan Rough Riders. Now, the Attilan part of them is pretty unimportant. They've got rid of all the different regiments in here, and you just choose a style army to play. So if you want to be a fast army, then you choose a regimental kind of doctrine that makes you faster to play or to be more accurate at shooting. Whichever you choose, it isn't donated by what regiment you're from. So the Attilan Rough Riders is just a name they've given to them. There's Catachan jungle fighters in here. There's also some Death Corps of Krieg soldiers. They're just part of the unit name, and they give a slight different rule to them when using, but it's not like an army choice anymore. So you can mix your Attilan Rough Riders with your Cadian infantry, all kinds of stuff like that. Now, these guys are a real change for the Imperial Guard. These are a fast and very, very deadly close combat unit. They are incredibly deadly in combat. So each one, who is a basic 20-point dude with 12 movement, comes with 2 attacks. His weapon, if we look down here, is a hunting lance. Now, this is a little weird, and it's all part of their trying to make the rules a bit simpler and a bit more streamlined. You get things like this, which stand out as being a bit stupid. So the hunting lance is a lance, a pole of wood, maybe even metal in the far future, with a grenade sellotaped to the top of it. So that's fine, that's what they've always been. It's always been quite dangerous. So here we have a thrag tip, so you've sellotaped a thrag grenade to the end of your lance, and he gets to make, every time he hits with it, he gets 2 additional hits. So with his 2 attacks, hitting on weapon skill 3+, he can get 6 hits on that. Great for killing infantry. Or he can use a melter tip, which is +2 strength, so he's got strength of 4, goes up to 6, and when he charges, because he's on a horse, he gets an extra 2 strength, so strength 8, -4 does a flat 3 damage. You're thinking, blimey, that's a really powerful weapon. But obviously, it's a grenade strapped to a stick. He only gets to use that once, right? No. All the previous iterations of Rough Riders, when they use their grenade lances, they're one-use weapons. But I think they've decided that rule's a bit too finicky. They want people having to mark down what they're using, what they're going to do with them afterwards. So these guys have got 2 attacks or 3 attacks on the sergeant each, and they can attack as many times as they like with their grenades on sticks with those attacks. And then in all future rounds of combat, they can also attack with their grenades on sticks. I really dislike it because they made them really powerful as if they were going to put that one-use rule in, and then have forgotten to put the one-use rule in. So they are one of the best and most dangerous close combat units in the game. They hit far harder than a Thunderhammer Terminator, for instance. They are just super duper deadly. They are really flimsy, so they're not a unit that's brokenly broken, because they have 4 toughness, 2 wounds, and a 4-up save. That is their total of their defensive profile, which in the current 40k is absolutely nothing. They would just fall over, but they are super deadly. Nothing they charge is going to be laughing it off. They can kill most things in the game with a full unit of 10. If full unit of 10 of those charge a knight, the knight is going to die. Okay, that is those. Next thing we're going to have a quick look at is the various tanks in the book, because they have done them good. Modern 40k vehicles, and big tanks in particular, are really hard to justify taking in an army. They're really easy to kill, and they're really hard to maneuver around the battlefield unless they have fly, like a Xenos tank. There are various different tanks in this book. We're going to focus on a couple. Firstly is the new tank, the Rogel Dawn battle tank. And we're looking at it and we're going, oh, has it got an invulnerable save, all kinds of that stuff? No, it doesn't. It's not a Xenos tank. They haven't kind of like tried to shove on a new rule to make it particularly super invulnerable or anything, but it's just got base really good stats. So it's got 17 wounds and 9 toughness with a 2+ save. That is really hard to chew through. A multi-melter at point blank range is wounding this on 5s, and it's going to take multiple hits to kill it. The 2+ save, that's pretty good as well now. Most Imperial Guard tanks used to have a 3 going back a year or so. It's got really good guns. It does have a lot of guns, which is one of the things I'm not a huge fan of. It's a bit like one of the new Primaris tanks, which just has guns littered all over the damn thing. It's got 2 melter guns on the hull. It can take 2 sponsons. It can have 2 extra guns hidden on top. It's got a coaxial gun. But just as the base tank, I like the look of the model, and it's just really solid and really tough to kill as well, which I think a tank should be. The Lemurus battle tanks I'd feared because they were bringing out the new tank, and often the way is if they've got a new flashy model they want to sell, the old similar model, which is slightly smaller, is going to be done dirty. Not in this case. Lemurus is toughness 8 with a 2+ save, and it has 13 wounds, so it's obviously not as tough as the Rogel Dawn, but it's considerably cheaper, and its guns are all improved. It's got 1 gun down here, for instance, the Vanquisher battle cannon. Single shot. Okay. Strength 14, AP -5, D3 +6 damage, and it ignores invulnerable saves and does mortal wounds when it hits. That is a proper single shot killing gun. All the other guns are all pretty decent. The Demolisher cannon gets D6 plus D6 shots, but it does D3 +3 damage. It's got stuff that ignores cover. There's a weapon for all occasions. One of the things I dislike is that they're just charging you for the tank now, and the turret guns are all the same price. You don't pay for any of the turret guns, you just choose one. That's great if they balanced all of the turret guns, but they haven't done a good job at balancing the turret guns. Some of them you are never going to see. You are never going to see, for instance, the Exterminator autocannon. 6 shots, strength 8, -2, 2 damage, when you could be taking a battle cannon, which has D6 +3 shots, strength 8, -2, 3 damage, and it's a blast weapon. It's just better. And even that one is outstripped by the Nova cannon, or the plasma cannon. Here we go, executional plasma cannon. If you shoot supercharge it, it's D6 +3, strength 8, -4, 3 damage. So the guns on there are a little bit lopsided. There are some you will never see, which I don't like. But tanks as a whole, this book, you're going to run a lot of them. And I think that's what guards should be. Super heavy tanks, they're actually pretty usable. Toughness 9, 30 wounds, 2+ save. Yeah, they're deadly. This is your standard Baneblade. Baneblade cannon, 3d6 shots, strength 9, -3 AP, 3 damage. All these tanks, by the way, have a new rule called turret. So they're weapons that are mounted on the turret, can fire out of close combat. So if you're surrounded by annoying Gretchen scratching your hull, who would normally stop you shooting at anything, turret weapons can fire outside of combat, and turret weapons also always get +1 to hit. So if you reference that to all those other tanks I've just spoken about, they're all considerably better than they look because their turret weapons always get to shoot, and they're at +1 ballistic skill. There's all these other super heavy tanks here as well. I just want to flick to one particular one. The Shadow Sword. So how is this for a gun? We have the Volcano Cannon. Heavy D3 +3, 18 strength, -5 damage, -5 AP, 12 damage flat. That is going to kill most things. So there are various units that are missing from previous iterations of the Codex, and it's all down to Games Workshop's annoying policy of no model, no rules. So we are missing conscripts from here, which I always used to like to run. I've modelled up my own conscripts, but there aren't any models for conscripts, so they are not letting you use them. So they are completely gone. Then we have various characters which are no longer really available, which are the metal and finecast models. So Commander Pask, who used to be the named tank commander, he's gone. Creed and Kell, who were the leader of Cadia and his colour sergeant with the flag, they've gone, although Creed's daughter is now a new character you can use. What else do we have that have gone? Weird Veins Psychers, they have disappeared. And some people had some really cool old models for those, but won't hugely be missed because they're not really core to the army. But the one that hurts the most, certainly hurts me because I have a beautiful painted one of his model, and I still think the model holds up really nicely, is Commissar Yarrick. And he is one of the first named characters in the whole of 40k, one of the most famous named characters in the whole of 40k, and they've killed him off. Apparently he was killed by Angron. There was some weird fluff that was written that they released on their website about the Emperor calling back his spirit to the Golden Throne to help in the future. So that's kind of like laying the foundation that they might one day release a new Yarrick reborn type of thing, maybe as an Imperial Saint is a possibility. But removing Yarrick is, I just don't like it. I mean, what can I say? Some people will go, oh, well, it's not a problem, and that's fine. But I really wish he was still in here. I think his model still looks good. I really liked his fluff, and also I like the option of having a cool close combat commissar in your unit. But that is my top 5 thoughts on the new Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum Codex. It's a really nicely presented book, like all of Games Workshop books are. We shall see how long it lasts. There are rumours of 10th edition coming around the corner next year, so you don't ever want to be the last book of an edition. But we've got World Eaters coming out soon, so these aren't going to be last. Oh, name generator, and that's a decent name generator. Look at the size of that. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody.
If you're still here and you're looking for ways to support the channel, there's obviously a lot of ways down in the description, but a key way is to use our affiliate links to Whaling Games and others. You buy your models from them, it doesn't cost you a penny more, and we earn a little bit of commission. Thank you.